Did you see it coming?
Oh, from a mile away, yeah.
Really?
100%.
Yeah.
She's still my problem, not my man. Reid pulled the wool over my eyes and I wish her the best of luck.
Am I the only one who's furious at how Tia is behaving? It's unacceptable. I'm sorry. It's unacceptable. It's very self-centered. It's giving selfish. It's giving I'm better than. It's giving stubbornness. And sadly, it's not a good look for her. And karma has come her calling for Kirra. I remember Ollie telling her that this man does not want you. This man is only using you to stay in the villa, and well, his words have come to pass because that's exactly what Reid's done. He's moved on to the next shiny object, which has left Kirra vulnerable, and now she's on her way home. She might probably be sharing a flight home with Ollie. But anyway, I digress. Hey there, thanks for stopping by. It's Valerie. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe, click the like button, turn on the notification bell for when I upload new videos, and definitely leave a comment. In this episode, I'll be reviewing Love Island Australia, Season 5, Episode 8. Okay, can we just give Nate the money? Can we give Nate the money, please? Because Nate is a gentleman. He's always treated these girls with respect. He's treated them like, you know, if he's not dating them romantically, he's treated them the way you treat your sister or the way you'd want your loved one treated. Because he was one of the people with Kale who stepped up to sort of say, you guys need to stop. And it was unacceptable. It's unacceptable the way they handled it. The fact that you had Trent there cheering on or acting out just because Dumb and Dumber were together doesn't make sense. When he was told the first time by Sav that this is what was happening, he didn't say anything. Now he's suddenly more offended because his Dumber, his leader, is upset. That doesn't make sense. And for Zach to say, oh, you're feeling up, you're bad mouthing me because I didn't like you. Who does he think he is? Does he see how he comes across? I wonder, as Abbey said, I wonder how his family feels seeing him speak to women like that, seeing him behave towards women like that. That is terrible, terrible, unacceptable. And I give credit to Nate and Kale for calling him out. I know Reid tried to speak up, but that was a bit too late. I feel like had she been talking to Nate, the moment they opened their mouths, Nate would have told them to back off. And Nate has had experience with Zach, so he knows how much of a jackass Zach can be. And so he was right to also call out the girls to say, you told your guys that this is what happened, and yet you stood there and watched them harass another girl and didn't step in. That doesn't make sense. The least that should have happened should have been that Lucinda and Sav should have stepped up and told their guys, no, take a step back, cool down, let's sit down and have a conversation. That was unacceptable. And I don't get where Tia is saying, oh, you should mind what you say. Yes, you should mind what you say amongst the girls, but you shouldn't be worried about the boys coming towards you and lashing out and screaming and yelling at you and calling you out of your name. That's unacceptable. Nate is right. Tia said this is how she's going to lose Nate because it's unacceptable for her to think like that, because he said all you girls should be there for one another. You should be supporting one another. You should be fighting. They should call out the guys for what they did. Whether or not Abbey was right or wrong, it's unacceptable. I give credit to Kirra for stepping up and actually going up and sort of checking on Abbey. That's amazing. That's really amazing. And I have a feeling that Abbey is going to end up winning Nate. And Tia is going to be seething because this is how she loses him, because he is someone who likes peace and quiet, and Tia sadly appears to be on the other side of the train tracks. It's interesting that Nate is the only one who was sitting with Abbey and was trying to comfort her, and all the girls are there in the villa. Did the producers tell them not to go or what? Make it make sense? I think Nate is a loving and caring and very supportive and empathetic person, and whoever marries him will be a lucky person. And I think he's going to make an amazing dad because of how he really protected her and shielded her. And when the boys came up to apologize, he made sure that they were not coming aggressive and that they were, calmer heads were going to prevail, because he actually knows these boys. He stayed with these boys for a while, and so he knows how they behave and how silly they can be at times. So I give him a lot of credit for that. You then have, the boys apologize. Oh, we were feeling emotional from the challenge. No, that's not the case. You did what you did because you felt it was cool, and then you realized that later that, oh my God, we're now going to be in the fans' bad books. You said what you said. And for Zach to try and sort of, oh, I didn't say you should lead with that. It's recorded. People can just rewind and watch it. You told her you should have led with the fact that you were on 2 other shows, because he is looking for celebrity and is looking for someone who's going to get him clout, and whoever it is, he's going to chase after them. So I don't get where he's coming from and say, oh no, that's not what I meant. It was a misunderstanding. You meant what you said, and you said what you meant. Please sit down. So you have Nate and Tia sit down for a chat, and Tia saying she's upset with Nate because of the fact that he told the girls that you need to be there for one another, you need to be supporting one another, and not sitting there and watching one of your your friends be approached by the boys like that, and you keep quiet. And so for her to say, you know, I stay out of my business, I mind my own business, this is how she lost Nate. This is how she lost Nate, because what Nate is saying to her, or what he's trying to say is, you are a girl. How would you feel? Because he actually gave her the same scenario that you say you wouldn't get involved, you'd mind your own business. If these 2 boys came at you, would you want everybody else around you to just sit there and just watch and say, oh, it's none of my business? And for her to say, no, she's not my friend, this shows that her and Nate are not compatible. I'm sorry, they're not compatible, because Nate is someone who's got this caring and loving soul, and who needs to be with someone who's empathetic like that. That shows lack of empathy and lack of understanding. And for her to say, oh, he wants me to pat him on the back just because, you know, he did something he wanted to do. No, Nate comes from a family where he's been taught to protect the women around him, and this is what he's doing. If that were his sister, he would hope someone would protect her. If that were his girlfriend, he would hope someone would protect her. He would hope someone would protect his mother, his grandmother. So for her to not understand that, and to think that Nate is asking her to give him a round of applause, shows her lack of maturity, shows that she doesn't have emotional, she's lacking in emotional intelligence. She is lacking in self-reflection and sort of ability to sort of analyze and critically think about a situation before you act. And so I don't get it. I know what I said didn't make sense, but to some it will make sense. She lacks the ability to look at the situation from all angles and sort of make sense of it, and sort of understand where people are coming from. Yes, she knows that the boys were wrong, but then how can you say, oh, she was wrong for what she says? How will she feel when she watches it on TV and she realizes that Abbey said word for word what the boy said? She didn't make anything up. It's very bad. It gives her a bad sort of, I don't like it. It's not sitting well with me. It's not sitting well with me, and it's making me see her in a different light, and making me realize that she's not it for Nate. Nate deserves somebody better, and it's good that he's realized this before he was in deep. So you have Reid pull Abbey for a chat, and for me, I don't get how Nate was able to speak to Abbey before Reid, when Reid is the one who says he's very interested in her. Yeah, they did sort of try to address what happened, and sort of he tried to cheer her up, and she seems to be moving on. She seems to be getting over it, but I still feel some type of way. I know the girls, we weren't shown the girls sort of consoling her or comforting her. Yeah, they did have a conversation, but it was very superficial, and I feel like she should have still called them, or maybe at some point they need to have sort of a conversation, because these girls are going to feel very foolish when they realize that the boys actually said what Abbey was telling them, and that Abbey wasn't making stuff up. Because it's bad that Lucinda has been on Love Island and she's allowing herself to be paid by Zach. It doesn't make sense to me. I think Zach doesn't like Lucinda like that. I think now I'm truly believing that he's only with her because of her followers, as he made out. Anyway, the island as well, they're sort of just relaxing and chatting. They receive a text message to say the hideaway is open. And Nate is actually saying it's too soon for them to open the hideaway. People have just known each other for a week, and already people are already expected to go to the hideaway and make out. And it was interesting that Tia actually was recommending somebody else be sent to the hideaway, because I think she knew that Nate wasn't up for it and he was going to say no. So to avoid being embarrassed, she opted for other people. And besides, she's still upset with him for participating in this or trying to diffuse the beef, and it doesn't make sense to me. So eventually everyone settles on Ben and Tyra. And it doesn't make sense. I don't know. Am I the only one who's confused? Because Tyra was entertaining Reid, and there was a possibility that she was going to be moving on to Reid. So for her to go from that to suddenly agreeing to go to the hideaway doesn't make sense to me. To other people, it might make sense. To me, it doesn't make sense. I'm still as confused as, I don't know. We'll see how it plays out, but I didn't get it, and I didn't understand why she agreed to go to the hideaway. And in the hideaway, she was already making out with Ben when she was complaining earlier that he's not making any effort towards her. And so I don't know how he's gone from not making effort to suddenly, you know, he's the best guy for her and she's making out with him in bed. Make it make sense. The islanders get ready for bed, and you have Tia busy telling the girls that Nate wants me to pat him on the back. That's not what he's asking for. He's asking you that why can't you sort of empathize and understand that someone is in need of, you know, a shoulder to cry on, whether or not you're involved in the drama. You're not getting yourself involved in the drama. You're just consoling someone who's upset. If you were upset, you'd want someone to console you. And that's all he's asking for. And for Lucinda to say, oh, well, I tried to comfort her and he told me to go away. Yes, because you are the instigator of everything. You are the one who told your guy something and then stood back and watched him sort of berate someone and sort of humiliate someone on national TV and didn't have the guts to stop him. So why would you suddenly want to console her when you weren't there, when she was being yelled at? You were nowhere to be found. I get where Nate is coming from, and I totally agree. Nate was hoping for a chat with Tia before they went to sleep. Tia pretended to be asleep when he tried to talk to her, and this is how she's going to lose him. It's a pity that the girls are losing Nate and they don't realize they're losing Nate until Nate's gone. So in the morning, obviously the two, you know, the couple from the hideaway come back, and I don't want to call it a debriefing because it doesn't come across as a debriefing that they had, that the girls had, because all they did was they spoke about the hideaway and what happened in the hideaway. And Nate was honest to the guys and said, you know, Tia and I are not in the best of books at the moment. We are not speaking, and he's upset that they're not speaking because he would like to have a conversation. He comes across as someone who wants to address whatever's there. He doesn't like any misunderstandings. So the fact that she was sort of throwing this fit and is upset, and, you know, there's a misunderstanding on their part. And it's a pity that if she's not careful, someone else is going to take Nate away. The same way Nate was taken away from Lucinda is the same way he's going to be taken away from her. And you have Lucinda having a conversation with Abbey and telling her you don't need to worry about Nate and Tia because they are not talking at the moment. They're not in the best place. And it's like, I don't think Lucinda is telling Abbey this out of the goodness of her heart. It's totally different to the scenario where Abbey was trying to protect her. She is telling Abbey because she doesn't like the fact that Tia stole Nate from her, and so she is going to do everything in her power to sort of break them up. And it's a pity that she's good at that, but she's not good at detecting the BS that you know, Zach is dishing her, because Zach then asks the other islanders to help him to set up this date, this picnic, because, you know, they had an amazing night, and he feels like he's developing, you know, feelings for Lucinda. I do not buy that. I think Zach knows that he's in the doghouse with the fans because of the way he behaved towards Abbey, and so he's trying to use this to get into the fans' good books because they'll start to sort of ship him and Lucinda, saying, oh, they're a couple. The fact that they're already talking about him traveling and going to the UK and stuff. I am not buying that. I'm sorry, I'm not buying that. That's a poor man's version of a romantic gesture. I don't think it's that romantic a gesture. If he had so much feeling and emotion for her, why didn't he take her to the hideaway? Why did he keep quiet when everybody was looking for someone to go to the hideaway? He needs to sit down somewhere. I'm not buying whatever he's selling. I'm sorry. So Nate decides to arrange a sort of a mini date to have a conversation with Tia, since she is avoiding him. And so during the date, you know, he's trying to get her to understand that he saw someone crying and wanted to comfort them in their time of need, which the majority of us would do. You wouldn't see someone crying and say, that's not my business, and just keep it moving. You would want to stop and ask them, are you okay? Because that's all maybe they need, just to comfort them and allow them to sort of vent whatever's going on with them and move on. And so for Tia to say, well, you like to involve yourself in people's drama, he didn't involve himself. He was comforting that girl because it felt like the boys were attacking her. the same thing happened with Kale. Why isn't Nakia making a big deal about it? I don't get where she's coming from. And she actually eventually owned up to the girls and said, well, he is someone who's caring and wants to comfort people. I am someone who just says F them, I don't care. And so it's like, the two of you are never going to work. I'm sorry, you're never going to work, because what qualities are those? Because then he's going to start to question, if I am in my time of need, will she stop and assist me, or will she just keep it moving and say it's none of my business? Or if we have children, is this the type of parent she's going to be? It's a pity she is losing him, but that's the way he is, because he is an empath. He's someone who sort of empathizes with people and is caring about people. And so it's a pity she's going to lose an amazing guy who could have been amazing for her. And she's telling the girls, oh, the fire's gone. Well, the fire's definitely gone, because he's saying if he had to choose at recoupling, he would choose Kirra, which is sad. Sad for her, but hey, good for Kirra. So after drinks, the islanders receive a text message to say to gather around the fire pit, and Sophie arrives and is recoupling. And so Nate had previously said to the guys that if he had to choose, he was going to pick Kirra, just because he didn't like the way Tia was behaving. I give Nate a lot of credit, because he shows that he's someone who's emotionally intelligent, emotionally mature, someone who's able to make rational decisions and sort of be empathetic and consider people around him and not just himself. At recoupling, obviously, he was telling Abbey to make some right decision. I think he expected Abbey to pick him. To save him from having to pick anyone else, and Abbey picked Reid, which meant that Kirra was in trouble. Everybody else recoupled with their person that they were in a coupling. I was surprised that Trent actually went back to Sav. I said it before and I'll say it again. He's never going to be able to shake Sav off, because none of the girls that come into the villa will like him. As long as he's one of the three musketeers, they're not going to like him. So then Nate was the last person to pick. And he was having this internal struggle that, do I go with my heart or do I go with my head? Do I go with my heart or do I go with my head? And he eventually picked Tia. I think he thought, I'd rather try and work things out with Tia than to pick Kirra, and then a bombshell comes in that she likes, and I'm in trouble. For Tia not to see where she is going wrong, for Tia not to understand what Nate is telling her, does not make sense to me. It doesn't make sense to me, because she's coming across as very selfish, very self-centered, very emotionally detached from reality, in the sense that she cannot think of anyone else but herself. For her to say, I don't want, it's one thing if Nate had gone up and had started arguing with people and started inserting himself in the drama. It's another thing for Nate to say, someone is crying, let me take them aside. And when the people that instigated the argument that led to the fight come, and he says to them, no, you need to take a step back. He is right. He is right. What was he supposed to say? To allow them to sit there and start, upsetting Abbey further? No, he wasn't flirting with her. He was comforting her. He was trying to make her smile. That shows that he grew up in a household where he had siblings, where there were other people that you needed to be considerate of, and not just yourself. And I really hate the way Tia is behaving. It was sad to see Sav have a conversation with Kirra, and it seems Kirra was sort of the mummy of the group, in the sense that she's the one who checked up on people. She's the one who spoke to people when they're going through a tough time. She was there to console some of her castmates. And so I get why they're sad that she's leaving, and I get why they're so emotional that she's leaving as well. So it's really sad, but hey, I wish her all the best. Anyway, I don't know how I feel about Tia, but anyway, I digress. It was an emotional episode, and I feel sorry for Nate, because now with new bombshells coming in, I hope Tia doesn't dump him and then he's left to go home. If she dumps him, I hope one of the other girls picks him up. But anyway, I digress. Thanks guys for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, comment and subscribe, and click the link in my video to watch my review from episode 7. Bye guys.